Hi Year 11s, so this week we're going to be looking at the circulatory system. There's going to be 3 videos in the circulatory system. This is the first video obviously where we're just going to be looking at the different types of blood vessels. This completes the human anatomy side of organisms for Year 11 SACE. After this week we'll be moving to plants. So let's have a look. Let's start with some blood vessels. So first off, we probably need to talk about what is the circulatory system. So we have a diagram here of roughly what the circulatory system looks like. So the circulatory system is basically all structures in which blood flows, and blood's flowing throughout the body, and all of them grouped together are going to be classified as the circulatory system. So the one main organ in the circulatory system is obviously the heart, and the heart's responsible for pumping blood all around your body. The rest of the circulatory system is all made up of the different blood vessels. So we've got arteries, veins, and capillaries. The 3 main different types that we're going to be looking at. And we're going to look at each one of those in detail, try and remember some information because you will have to compare and contrast them in tests and examinations for the remainder of Year 11 and Year 12. So, the 3 different blood vessels, we've got arteries, veins, capillaries. There is a way to remember them. So, and we've done it in green over here, arteries always carry blood away from the heart. Now both arteries and away start with A. So arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood back to the heart. So I always like to think of the V in veins, V pointing to my heart. So it's a V pointing to my heart. That way veins take blood to the heart. Inside all your organs, the arteries and veins are connected by very narrow blood vessels called capillaries. Now, capillaries are 1 cell thick, and what they do is they allow nutrients to be transported back and forth between the different blood vessels and the organs. So we've talked about capillaries when we talked about exchange surfaces. We're going to talk about them again in the circulatory system. Capillaries are probably the most, they're all important, but capillaries are very, very important in the circulatory system. If we're talking about how many capillaries we have, if you lay all of your capillaries end to end in one body, that would stretch around the world 2.5 times. So you have a lot of capillaries in your body. They're probably the most abundant blood vessels. So let's talk about arteries. What's specific about arteries? So arteries, as we've said before, they carry blood away from the heart. They have very tough elastic walls containing muscle tissue. Now remember, these are the first, blood's coming straight out of the heart into the artery, so it's going to be coming out with a lot of force. Okay, so those elastic muscly walls are going to help beat it throughout the body. It's going to go from your heart around the rest of your body, so it really needs to keep that push going. Not to mention, you've got blood coming straight from your heart. Your heart's just pushed all the blood out of your heart, and it's gone into this vessel here. You obviously need to have thick muscular walls because you don't want that pressure breaking the blood vessel. So you can almost think of it as water being forced through a narrow hose pipe. Okay, it has to be thick because you don't want that hose to break. So arteries carry blood away from the heart, tough elastic walls. Veins. So truthfully, by the time blood's reached your veins, so it's gone through all your arteries, it's gone to an organ through the capillaries, and it's coming back now to the heart, there's not much pressure. The pressure's a lot less. That does mean that the walls don't need to be as thick, so you can see here that veins have thinner walls than arteries had. Another important thing about veins is now most of the time, if you think of your body, your heart's roughly here in your chest. Okay, you've got the rest of your body that blood's coming back from. So majority of your blood when it's coming back to the heart is coming from below the heart. So it's got to fight gravity to get back to your heart. Because of that, veins are quite wide, so they're allowing the blood to flow along easier. They also contain valves inside them. So valves prevent the blood flowing backwards because it's going back up. You don't want it to, when your heart's not beating, that blood to fall back down. So you've got little valves which prevent the blood from going back down. Despite all of this, blood flow can still become very slow in the veins. and that causes the veins to expand and become flabby, thin bags. That's what we have when we have varicose veins. So ways to prevent varicose veins is to exercise. That keeps the muscle contractions going, helps their legs push that blood towards the heart, helps prevent varicose veins because you don't get those slow blood flow and the veins getting dry, the veins expanding. And lastly, we have capillaries. So capillaries, as we've said before, are incredibly thin. They're 1 cell thick. Basically, they let blood cells flow through it in single file. So it's, as you can see in this diagram here, I'll use the mouse, not my finger. 1 cell, basically, traveling through the capillary. Their walls, a lot thinner than veins, so 1 cell thick walls, meaning that we can have materials diffuse in and out. So capillary is very, very important.